Thank you for your signature.
Happy to do so.
Hello, Rickom Simpson. Very welcome to Slovenia again.
Happy to be back.
It was published that you're working on devices for domestic use that produces pure cannabinoids. Why do you think it is so important that this hashish oil would be easily accessible to people?
Well, it's simply that we're in dire need of the use of this medication. And we all have the natural right as human beings. It says so right in the Bible, that we should be using these plants to our benefit. And, and actually, when it comes to medicine, the greatest medicines on earth come from plants. And the greatest healing plant on earth is the cannabis plant. But, it was the whole thing with cannabis is it posed a threat to many major industries that the big money people like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers were in control of. Cannabis was a threat, to the pharmaceutical industry for one, the cotton industry, the energy providers, these energy companies. We don't need their fossil fuels. We should be burning fuels made from cannabis. Put people back on the land, give them a future. It's just all common sense to me. But when you look at what's gone on for the last few decades with all of this outlawing, it's totally outrageous. Governments today have to basically stand up and admit that yes, governments of the past were corrupt. They put these laws in place. Somebody got paid off. There's no question in my mind. Why else would they do this? Mm-hmm. And since that time, hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people have suffered and died just simply over greed. You cannot take what it was always known to be, and way back in history, the most medicinal plant in the world out of medicine. And this is what they did. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's time that everyone in every country gets up and unites and just tell their government point blank, we've had enough of this nonsense. Now admit the truth and let's get on. Let's get on with something that makes some sense. Because, you cannot solve a problem by ignoring what caused it. And I've been doing this for 15 years now, and finally it's happening, but my God, it's taken so long, and so many people have died in the meantime. Yeah. But my aims right now, I'm hoping to get involved with these research projects, and I'm out to develop the strongest medicinal strains in the world. And then I want to make these seeds available from these strains to the public at a very reasonable cost. Mm-hmm. But these strains would have known healing qualities. The best strains to treat different conditions, and and of course I like combining the extracts. But I come up with a way. There's been a lot of complaints about solvents. And as you can see, I'm quite healthy, and I've been ingesting these extracts myself now for over 15 years. So there's just really nothing to be concerned about if the extracts are made properly. But there was a lot of complaints about that, so I've come up with this new way of producing the extracts with no solvents at all. And I'm hoping to build the machines in the next few months, get the machines into production, and make them available to the public at a very low cost.
Will this method be easier to make the extracts?
Oh, it'll be very easy.
Yeah.
First, there's two basic pieces of machinery. You need a resin collector, which I built designed my own years ago. But you need one of these resin collectors to collect the resins. And then you put the resins in a bottle, add fresh water, and wash the resins, and the plant material goes up into the water, and the resins sink. And then you pour the water off, add fresh water, keep doing that until there's no plant material or anything like that in the water. And once that's done, drain the water off, dry the resins out, then take these resins and put them in the bowl of a giant vaporizer, or a big, like a big vaporizer with a good-sized dome. And the vaporizing unit underneath, the temperature controller and everything. Put the resins in there. The resins, when they heat up, the cannabinoids, the healing cannabinoids, will vaporize off and stick to the inside of the dome. And anything that's unwanted, like plant waxes or anything of that nature, it's all left behind in the bowl of the vaporizer.
Oh,
and
so
then
how you consume it then?
Well, once you get, it forms in layers. If you're using different strains, like layer after layer of these different cannabinoids from the different strains would all collect on the inside of the dome. And then you just take a gentle heating device and heat the dome up, and then it runs down to its lowest point where you would have a little drain valve, and out comes the greatest medicine on the planet. It's cheap, like people will be able to purchase these units, I figure, for like $300 each or something like that. We're not talking like these CO2 units where they want $200,000 for an extraction system. This is a simple way that people can produce the highest quality extracts right in their own homes. And we'll be doing this on a large scale too in the near future, with these projects I'm involved in. If we all had the right to produce these extracts, and every home should have a big jar of this extract, because of any a burn, an infection, any kind of wound or anything like that, the extract, just put the extract right on it. It's the best thing you can do, and it heals with no scarring. What more could you ask? So if every home had this, yes, the doctor visits would be greatly reduced, and so many other things like today that you see, like organ transplants. So many transplants. Well, these extracts have the ability to rejuvenate vital organs. So that would reduce the need, for this type of operations. And it'll work miracles in so many ways. But again, if people just have to realize this is your basic right as a human.
Why medical and educational communities, after 25 years knowing about endocannabinoid system, are not learning, teaching, and discussing in depth this highly important system?
Well, anybody involved with cannabis research, since the Medical School of Virginia study was done in 74 and 75, all of those experts knew the results of that study. The cannabis researchers, and there was a great number of them, they know about these results, but the thing is, if they had stood up and tried to do something about it, they would have been ostracized. They would no longer be able to work in their own fields, because they just, governments literally, if you stand against the big money, they're going to destroy you. But then I come along, already injured, and, my children, they can't threaten to take my children away because they're all, adults. So to me, it was like, okay, what are you going to do to me? And I just told the world the truth. And I couldn't sit there after I learned the healing powers that these extracts could produce, because I've seen them in my own body. I couldn't sit there and watch my friends and neighbors suffer and die simply over greed and keep that to myself. I wouldn't have been able to live with myself. So I just took it public. I told the whole world how they can heal themselves, and now a great portion of the world are doing just that. If the government of Slovenia goes ahead and does what I've heard they're going to do by letting everyone grow, as many plants as they want, and not bother them, as long as they're not trafficking, they're not to be bothered. If the government of Slovenia does that, well, they're setting the cannabis plant free, and they're giving back to their own people their own natural rights. So, this country, I know it's not a very large country, but this country could go down in history as the first country to actually stand up for the rights of their citizens and doing what is right for humanity. And that will set an example to the rest of the world, and one country after another will have to start doing the same. So I think this is a golden opportunity for little tiny Slovenia to go down in history.
Yeah, we don't need Melania for it.
Right.
What is medical cannabis? Do we have non-medical cannabis?
I think all cannabis is medicinal to at least some extent. But when you're dealing with serious medical issues like, terminal cancer, multiple sclerosis, AIDS, practically diabetes, arthritis, the list is endless. But when you're dealing with diseases like that, you need extracts that are produced from the most medicinal varieties. And this is a well-known fact that the most medicinal varieties are the heavy sedative indica strains, because they actually promote the sleep and rest that you require to help you heal. And they're harmless in nature, totally non-addictive, no danger whatsoever. You cannot overdose and die or anything like that. The safest medicine on the planet for, all humans and animal life, because these extracts are very effective in treating animals with cancer and diseases like that. So, to me, it's the ultimate answer. I intend to produce these pieces of machinery made out of high quality stainless steel that'll last practically forever, and I plan to produce these and make sure that the public gets them at a price that most people wouldn't even think of trying to compete with. You're buying a high quality piece of equipment that's going to last a lifetime, maybe 10 lifetimes, for 300 bucks or less, well, that's a pretty good deal. And you'll be able to make medicine with this for the rest of your life.
What would be the right thing to do?
Well, I hope the politicians here in this country, have come to the realization of what has taken place here. I think it would be better just to admit to your public that, yes, a great crime has been committed against them. But now that you know this has happened, that you're going to rectify the situation, by allowing the free use of cannabis to all your citizens. And I think that, that this is the only logical way to approach this issue, at the present time. And, I've always said, when it comes to, if you have a loved one that's suffering and dying, well, even if you're in a country where they say it's illegal, this is nonsense. These laws were all put in place with corruption, and that's, deceptions and lies. That's what it's all based on, propaganda. So if you have someone you care about that's suffering and dying, for God's sakes, grow the plants, heal them, heal yourself. You have this right, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I mean, it's as simple as this. This is a natural human right, and as I stated earlier, it says this right in the Bible. So how dare they tell us that, we cannot grow the most medicinal plant in history and use it ourselves as to, to heal our bodies, because this is our bodies. We're the only ones that have the right to determine what we use as a medicine. And if we choose to use a harmless, non-addictive extract from the cannabis hemp plant to heal ourselves, it's nobody's business. Governments should not interfere with this. It's a natural right of their citizens to do so. So I'm urging governments to wake up. See this for what it is. It's been a horrible scam, and so many people have died, and we can erase suffering for everyone, for all of humanity, or at least most suffering. And, it gives us a rational solution. This plant can save the world. It provides the energy. We can put an end to starvation. We can make so many different things from it. Today, the plastics we have, all of this can be made from cannabis. Biodegradable, earth-friendly. We have to get away from this fossil fuel nonsense. And nuclear energy and all these other toxic industries we see. Switch them over into cannabis-based industries. The building supplies, the hempcrete, it's over 50,000 different things today can be produced from the cannabis plant. And practically everything we use in our day-to-day lives can be produced from cannabis. So why aren't we doing this? Let's save the planet and save ourselves.
Thank you.
You're welcome, dear.